Weekly Psalm Prayer Schedule with Meditations. Sunday, the Day of Resurrection and Sabbath Glory. Morning Psalm 92, a psalm for the Sabbath day. The only psalm specifically dedicated to the Sabbath. It declares the goodness of giving thanks in the morning and faithfulness by night. Connection. The first day of the week remembers both the seventh-day rest and the first light resurrection of Christ. Midday Psalms 17 and 21. The righteous defender and the King in glory. Psalm 17 seeks divine protection from surrounding enemies. Keep me as the apple of your eye. Psalm 21 celebrates the triumph of the anointed King, linking Christ's resurrection victory with Davidic kingship fulfilled. Together, these midday psalms stand as shields of intercession against spiritual warfare at the noonday gate. Evening, Psalm 134. Bless the Lord, all ye servants of the Lord. The final song of ascents, invoking the night watch Levites. Evening theme. End the day in the temple of praise, blessing Yahweh from Zion as the sun sets. Sunday. The day of resurrection and Sabbath glory's arc. From creation's rest to resurrection's dawn. We rise with thanksgiving, pray through spiritual battle, and sleep in sanctified stillness. Monday, the day of light and divine order. Morning Psalm 19. The heavens declare the glory of God. It celebrates cosmic order, heavenly speech, and the purity of God's law. A psalm for discernment and awe at the cosmos. Why Monday? The second day of creation separated the waters, establishing clarity and divine boundaries. Midday, Psalm 65 and 28, Providence and Plea. Psalm 65 reflects on divine provision. You crown the year with your bounty. Psalm 28 is a cry for mercy and justice against false-hearted adversaries. This pairing calls us to pause at noon and trust the Creator's sustaining hand while praying for discernment in leadership. Evening, Psalm 8. What is man, that you are mindful of him? A meditation on man's place within the stars and creation. Perfect evening response to Psalm 19's opening, the creature humbled under the Creator. Monday, the day of light and divine order's arc. From the vastness of heaven's glory to the quiet trust of being known and provided for. Light shines and clarity is granted. Tuesday, the day of ascents and pilgrimage. Morning Psalm 121. I lift up mine eyes unto the hills. A pilgrim's cry for help and protection, associated with guardian angels and divine watching over the path. Midday, Psalms 82 and 141, Justice and Incense. Psalm 82 speaks to divine justice among rulers. How long will you judge unjustly? Psalm 141 is a watchful prayer. Let my prayer be set before you as incense. Together, they guard against the noonday temptation of pride or corruption while upholding spiritual discipline. Evening, Psalm 123. Unto thee I lift up mine eyes. The evening counterpart to Psalm 121, not to the hills, but to the throne in heaven. A prayer of trust in the midst of contempt and trial. Tuesday, the day of ascents and pilgrimages arc, We journey by day with help and accountability, and by night with trust and upward gaze toward the heavenly seat of mercy. Wednesday, the day of kingship and praise. Morning, Psalm 47. Clap your hands, all ye people. A psalm of enthronement, recognizing God as King over the nations. Sung at Ascension Day in Jewish and Christian tradition. Midday Psalms 10 and 12 cry against the proud. Psalm 10 pleads for God to arise against those who say God does not see. Psalm 10 laments the vanishing of the godly and the spread of flattering lips. These midday cries humble the soul and appeal to the justice of the heavenly King. Evening Psalm 33. Rejoice in the Lord, O ye righteous. Echoes Psalm 47 in tone, but brings in creation, justice, and his eternal counsel. Wednesday, the day of kingship and praises ark. The King is praised in the morning, petitioned at noon against injustice, and his eternal wisdom is meditated on by night. Thursday, the day of blessing and divine favor. Morning Psalm 67. God be merciful unto us and bless us. A priestly benediction invoking global harvest, joy, and justice. A bridge between Abrahamic blessing and messianic mission. Perfect for those standing in intercession for their land or generation. Midday Psalms 55 and 64, betrayal and secret counsel. Psalm 55 is a lament over betrayal. It was you, my companion. Psalm 64 pleads for protection from conspiracies and secret plots. Together they shield the soul against slander and spiritual ambush at noonday. Evening, Psalm 93, the Lord reigneth, affirms that despite chaos, God's throne is established from of old. A royal anthem for nightfall. He is clothed with majesty and girded with strength. Thursday, the day of blessing and divine favors ark. From priestly intercession to royal enthronement, Thursday opens blessing and closes with dominion, even amid unseen war. Friday, the day of suffering and supplication. Morning Psalm 96. Sing unto the Lord a new song. A missionary song calls all creation to worship and prepare for righteous judgment. A psalm of joyful urgency, fitting for the day of crucifixion, new song rising from sacrifice. Midday, Psalm 65 and 9, from overflow to justice. Psalm 65 praises the abundance of God's goodness, even through suffering. Psalm 9 recounts how the Lord is a refuge for the oppressed and judges the nations in righteousness. Midday reminds us that divine justice flows from praise and perseverance, even on the day of affliction. Evening, Psalm 143. Hear my prayer, O Lord, a penitent's cry often used in Vespers and monastic confession. Connects directly to the agony in Gethsemane and Friday's mystery of grief and trust. Friday, the day of suffering and supplications ark. From the global call to justice to the personal cry for mercy, Friday's journey echoes the passion of Christ and the mystery of intercession. Saturday, the day of completion and thanksgiving. Morning Psalm 100. Enter his gates with thanksgiving. A call to joyful temple worship, short, jubilant, and inclusive. Points toward Sabbath joy and simplicity. Midday, Psalms 132. Joyful praise and forgiven peace. Psalm 100 reappears, anchoring the day in praise. Psalm 32 celebrates confession and the joy of restored fellowship. Midday on the Sabbath is a time for holy cleansing and radiant joy. Evening, Psalm 103, Bless the Lord, O my soul. One of David's most intimate psalms, remembering mercy, healing, and redemption. A perfect reflection as the week ends. He crowns with loving kindness and renews our youth. Saturday, the day of completion and Thanksgiving's arc. From temple thanksgiving to personal restoration, Saturday completes the sacred cycle in peace and praise.